True story, you know the haps. Let me break it down for the new boys, no cap. They respect the trap, nah fam, I'm free. And freedom ain't free until we all living free. Mindset fix another day, another obstacle. Family feed lies, your dreams is what they robbing you. You gotta make it possible, gotta make it possible, gotta make it possible. Make the future possible. Greetings, my people. This is me, Rolo C, and welcome to Rolo Runs the City podcast. I am your host, Rolo, and I would like to say happy Veterans Day to all my veterans out there who have served in the armed forces. We're greatly appreciative of your service, and I know personally for myself, it brings great honor to me that I served in the United States Army. I am an Operation Enduring Freedom veteran, and I'm in full gratitude mode when it comes to knowing what our service does for our nation. So I would like to say thank you for your service, and for those who are serving today, once you decide that you've called it a career, future happy Veterans Day to you too. We're greatly appreciative of your viewership, your listenership here on our podcast. And today's topic is so fitting for what today is. So we pose the question, why do we serve? And that doesn't necessarily, of course, have to mean in reference to the armed forces, although that is one form of service. But of course, it can be a situation where you're servicing your community, whether if you are in education or you work in sanitation, or if you work in law enforcement, medical first response, our firefighters, men and women alike. Not trying to forget anybody, of course, because all of our careers, jobs that we do on a daily basis is absolutely vital for our economy and shows great strength and nobility for who we are as a nation. So I just wanted to go ahead and definitely thank everybody for contributing and doing their part in our society. So I posed the question, why do we serve? Now, I can talk about basically from my personal experience on why I had joined the armed forces over 20 years ago. And I was just in a situation where I wanted to make sure that I was trying to do something with my life. And I'm not saying that I was on the road to nowhere, but I really didn't have a path of what I was going to do after high school, what was going to be the next step. I knew one thing's for sure. I knew I wasn't ready for the collegiate ranks yet. And I said, I know I'm not going to further my education at this time. You know, you go through 13 years of schooling, and it takes a toll on a person who's young to, believe it or not, it really does. Even though we're still young and we're in the process of growing and learning at that time, it does take a lot out of someone who just wants to hurry up and get it over with. So that was really one of the reasons why I actually joined the service. They told me they were going to provide me with food, with shelter, with money, and all you have to do is sign the dotted line. Well, it wasn't pretty clear cut like that, but in the gist of things, really what it was, I definitely wanted a sense of belonging, needed somewhere to go, so they were providing me that platform to do so. Love to eat, didn't want to go hungry. I figured I signed the dotted line for good old Uncle Sam, and I was going to make a little cheddar in the process. Although I look back at my leave and earning statements, the LES, of course, what we call it, and I look at what I was making in basic training, and I'm like, wow, like I wasn't making any type of money, especially going as a PV1, which is like a no rank on the collar private. But yeah, it was just it was an experience. It really was. And I think about it, I'm like, man, I didn't really get paid a lot of money. But of course, to a kid who's coming out of high school who just had a part-time job, I'm like, man, I'm getting paid a lot of money. And then you look back down the line, you're like, 20 years later, you're like, wow, I didn't really make much at all. But it's just a funny notion. But anywho, of course, like I said, I wanted a sense of belonging. Really didn't have anywhere to go. I'm from Lawrence, Massachusetts, and for anybody who's familiar with Lawrence, Massachusetts, knows that it's a mill city, very blue collar. I know when I first moved there back in, I believe it was 1985. Because I'm originally, from Brooklyn, New York, but I was raised out in Lawrence, Massachusetts. Very proud of that. And like I said, it was a blue collar town. At that time, the demographic was predominantly white. Now, if you go over there, I think the ratio is like 71% Dominican Latinos and probably about 23% Puerto Rican Latinos as well. And then you got like 7% of everybody else, or 6% of everybody else, something along that line. But yeah, I was definitely there in the early 80s where it was a mill city, predominantly white, very blue collar. And my journey was to actually see what life had to offer. Of course, I was a movie buff as a kid. I used to watch any type of movie, all movies, comedies, dramas, you name it, I watched it. But I just noticed the difference in what Hollywood was actually showing and what was I actually being subjected to and what I was living through. And the two were completely opposite to one another, day and night. And I said to myself, like I said, I grew up in the projects, public housing, and I said, there's got to be something that I can do to get out of this situation, because if people are living a certain way, and I know everything is scripted in Hollywood and they're doing things like that where they're selling an illusion, but at the same token, imagination comes from somewhere. And of course, I believe it was Field of Dreams that said, if you build it, they will come. So somebody had the mentality where some inception was going on in someone's mind and they created something, and it was definitely not what I was used to. So I was wondering, this life that I'm living right now can't really be where everything, where everywhere else is like. You understand what I'm saying? So I went ahead and I raised my right hand. I was in the Boston MEP station and got sworn in, and September 10th of 1999, I shipped out. So really, when it came to me serving, it was something that I guess I stumbled upon. I will not lie. I won't say that I served because, and I'm not saying while I served and the end of my service. I'm talking about the inception of my service. When it first started, I didn't have serving in mind. I guess what I was trying to do was trying to make a better life for myself, because I know what I was being offered where I live wasn't enough for me. So therefore, I had to leave. And that was something that I did. I went ahead and I swore in and I left out. Got shipped out to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Relaxing Jackson is what they called it. But it's funny. A kid coming from an undisciplined environment, I don't care how relaxing it is. The Army was the Army. Still got yelled at the same, still got cussed at the same, and still got smoked the same too. I mean, they PT'd me. Man, I mean, it looked like I came out of a swimming pool, which is how bad we sweated in that South Carolina weather. But back to my service. Like I said, I was just looking for a way out, something better than what I was being subjected to living in Massachusetts. And I didn't realize the impact of my service until 9/11 hit. I had just celebrated my 2-year anniversary of being in the military on the 10th of September. And on September 11th, 2001, of course, we were attacked by the radicals out in the Middle East. It was something, a day that I'll never forget. I remember I had post staff duty that day, and I was in Fort Polk, Louisiana, and I'd never seen so many high-ranking officials go into a post headquarters in my life. While I had served that short term within that 2-year period, I've never seen so many high-ranking officials in one place. And after that second tower was hit, I knew we were under attack because, like I said, maybe somebody made a mistake. They flew a plane into a building. We've never seen it, but wow, crazy. And then when the second plane hit the other tower, I knew we were under attack at that point. And I've never seen so many high-ranking officials in my life. It was nuts. But I know it sounds a little personal today, but of course, we're trying to stay on the subject of service. But this is when I realized that I was serving for a greater purpose. And it was so funny. I was, whenever you have a high-ranking official come into a room, you stand at the position of attention. And I recall, I think it was a major, if I'm not mistaken. If it may have been a major that worked at the post headquarters. He said, "Son, don't worry about standing up and down." He said, "It looks like we're being attacked, and you're gonna have high-ranking officials in here all day. They understand the severity of the situation. They're not gonna heckle you. If you're showing lack of respect, just have a seat." So I sat down, and from right there and then, I said, wow, this is what I signed up for, without realizing. I said the possibility of going to war, and me, my MOS was in transportation, and I was responsible for, shipping and receiving equipment, supplies, personnel. That was my job, first and foremost. Of course, your first thing is soldiering, knowing how to react in combat situations. But of course, your MOS is, basically what your job is. Your military occupational specialty is going to be what you're going to do, what you specialize in as you're serving in the service. And from there on, I thought to myself, I said, wow. I said, I cannot believe that I'm going through this at this point. But then I knew right there and then why I signed up. And I didn't know at the time when I signed up. I was just trying to be given an opportunity that I didn't feel that I was going to be given if I had stayed in Massachusetts. But 9/11 is when I realized, I said, wow, this is why I signed up. And this is why I'm serving. So I can fight for those who can't fight for themselves. So I can go and put my life on the line. So then that way, my cousins and, all of those that I love wouldn't have to. I signed up for that. And I took that with great responsibility. And unfortunately, during that time, my grandmother, who I was very close with, passed away, shortly after, in October of 2001. And they had her funeral back in Massachusetts, and I couldn't attend because of the severity of the situation that was going on in the U.S. with us being attacked, about to go to war, deploying soldiers, and I couldn't leave for, bereavement. I couldn't I wasn't allowed to go anywhere because every soldier was pretty much locked in orders on what they were supposed to do, especially during the time of war. So they want to, ensure people don't try to go AWOL, things of that nature. So I took it for what it was worth. I said, this is my duty and this is my responsibility. And I love my grandmother. I mean, more than anything in this world. And unfortunately, I couldn't be there. But it hurt for a long time that I wasn't there. I was probably one of the few family members that weren't to go to her funeral. But I knew what I was trying to do, and I was serving a great purpose to try to do what I needed to do to ensure our safety. And it's not like I'm talking as if I'm Superman and I'm here by myself and myself only to solely protect the world. But really, that's what every soldier's mentality should be. So then that way, everyone is on the same page, understand why we are serving. If everybody has the same superhero-like mentality when going into a situation where you're going to possibly be deployed, go to war, stand strong in the home front, whatever it is, if everybody has the same mindset, it's one team, one goal, then reality collectively, very similar to Voltron. I'm not sure if any of you guys know what Voltron is, but it was an old cartoon back in the day where several different parts form to just form one big machine. I guess very similar, to, let's just date it up to the Power Rangers, where the Power Rangers would collectively form all together to become this one massive machine. So that's the way the mentality should be whenever you're getting ready to make the ultimate sacrifice and get deployed and possibly be in a hot zone in a war situation, or if you're going to be rear detachment and hold down the homeland. Whatever your job is, don't take it lightly. Okay? So I have a quote here on my wall by the late great Kobe Bryant that says, it's one thing that you can control. You're responsible for how people remember you, so don't take it lightly. And that message resonates well with me because I want to do the best that I can to be the best representation of service that I can possibly be. So why do we serve? We serve for a greater purpose, something that's bigger than us. And I do believe in the laws of reciprocity. I do believe what you put out into the world, you definitely get back. That's either good or bad. And I've talked about that before. And I would much rather be on the good end rather than the bad. But, to serve is a big responsibility. When you're serving, it basically means that you're taking responsibility. And it could be taking responsibility from somebody else who can no longer handle what they're doing. So when you serve, you're adhering to your responsibility as well as someone else's. So when I joined the military, not knowing, I didn't realize that I was serving, so my family members didn't have to serve. I was there already. I was serving. And it brought me great pride because the reason why I joined the military was because my late Uncle Carlos, may his soul rest in peace, he served and was an officer in Vietnam. And it was amazing. I can recall prior to 9/11, I believe, I was out there in Florida with him visiting, and we would actually chop it up, tell me a couple of his war stories and stuff like that, and he really motivated me to the fact where I felt that I didn't know why I joined the military. And when he was telling me his stories of being in Vietnam and him being the catalyst on why I joined the military in the first place, it definitely, it brought me a great sense of pride, entered me in focus, and let me know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And to serve is a beautiful thing, and I want to be in service as best as I can in any way possible. The way I look at it, and it's very unfortunate, there's not a lot of people in today's society who have the same mindset. There's a very selective few, and those selective few are very successful because they don't mind going the extra mile to do the work and make things happen so they can position themselves for a better tomorrow. And it's unfortunate that majority of our society doesn't think that way. If they did, especially here in America, we would be a much better country in much better shape than what we're in right now. What it is everybody they have the taker mentality where all they want to do is take, but they don't want to give. So like I said before in previous shows, you want to take, but the universe is asking you, yeah, but I want to take too. So when you're in service and you're in the giving mindset and you're like, how can I help you? It's just some weird thing. I don't know if it's with the cosmos or what, but then the universe says, well, you've done well. How can I serve you? And I'll be honest with you. I remember listening to Tony Robbins one time. It made me laugh because I was like, this guy's full of it, right? I'm not going to lie. I've got to be very transparent with you guys. But he has said a line stating that the secret to living is giving. And I didn't quite know what that meant. And when I've noticed that, I've became a lot more selfless than I was selfish, because I wasn't always a selfless person. But when it became that I was more selfless and I was more of a giver, it really was the secret to living is giving, because I've noticed that I stay blessed because I'm able to be a blessing to others. And that's why I pride myself on being in service to others. So we ask the question, why do we serve? We serve because we want to be a blessing to others. If we're in a position to help, why not help our fellow man or woman? Why not help our children? This is always a very special day for me. We always wake up in the morning, my wife and I, and we wish each other a happy Veterans Day. And it's a blessing that we can do that, because not everybody is able to say that in the morning to their significant other, but we are to each other, and that's, incredible. But if you see a veteran today, somebody who served, tell them, hey, happy Veterans Day. Thank you for your service. There's a quote that I said on a song that I recorded. Yes, in case you don't know, that intro song to our show is me. And I love this because it was something that JT always used to say, right? Shout out to my brother from another, right? JT always says, freedom ain't free until we're all living free. And I loved when he said that line, because it's so true to life. It's like, for us to exercise true freedom, we all need to be in a state of freedom. And unfortunately, in this world, we're not. And until then, we will not be free until we're all living free. And when you're in service, especially when you're in the military, freedom is not free. freedom comes at the cost of someone giving their time, giving their life for this country. So even though we only exercise a modification of freedom in this country that we live in, because I do call it a modification, at the same token, there's a soldier that's out there deployed right now who is up on guard duty to ensure that his unit is safe, as well as the people back home. And when they do that, I've done that, and many of other veterans have done that, past and present, living and dead. When you do that, understand, wow, freedom really isn't free. Thank you for your service. It's because of you I'm able to sleep at night, not have to worrying about somebody trying to attack our land, or bombs dropping in my neighborhood, or people trying to we're trying to go through pillaging and raping our people, and we don't have to be subjected to that living here. And it's an absolute blessing that we don't have to be subjected to that. I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I was given to serve. And truth be told, I'm not going to say I totally regret it, but if I would have stayed in, I probably would be retiring this year, because I would have stayed in a little more than 20. But I'm a firm believer that everything does happen for a reason. And I have the utmost respect and gratitude for those who have served, and for those who are currently serving. You guys will be enjoying your Veteran Day soon. You guys will. But so for all my people that are working out there right now, first responders, people that are working at your local grocery stores, just everybody that's contributing to society, I thank you, because you guys are the ones that are putting in the service, so then that way our people can continue to thrive. So thank you for serving. If you think that your job is insignificant, trust me, it's not. Because if your job was insignificant, you wouldn't have a job. So I'm very grateful for everything that you guys do. Everything, absolutely everyone. Who works at our local fast food restaurants, at our gas stations. I truly am in gratitude to everybody who plays their part in society. I thank you for everything. And of course, to my troops, be safe, keep your head up, do what needs to get done to complete the mission. Anyway, this is Rolo C. Feel free to contact me anytime you guys want at rolorunthecity@gmail.com. That is my email. I do check my email, so if you guys have anything to say, positive, negative, neutral, want to say hello, shout me out, it's all good. Feel free to do so. Anywhere. Anyway. Anywho, I just want to say thank you for you guys actually listening to the podcast, and we will see you next week. Take care. Godspeed. Now you know why we serve. And to all my vets out there, happy Veterans Day. Peace.